Let's have a look at the phenomenon of interference and how useful this can be as an engineering tool. So my little laser pointer only has a power output of 1 milliwatt. When you think about it, that's not very much. That's pretty low power. If you think that the light bulb in your front room is probably 60 watts, you'd see that's fairly low. However, not only does it have a very low power, it also has a very low beam diameter, which means the irradiance, or the power per unit area of the light coming out of that laser, is very high. So that is why it's important that you don't stare directly into the beam. Let's do a little bit of very crude science in the pleasant surroundings of my very own garage. How about that? Right. I am going to set something up now and demonstrate the idea of diffraction and indeed interference. So all we need for this is a small workbench, a nice optical surface, which is a piece of MDF. This is real Blue Peter stuff, isn't it? One small laser and one diffraction grating. These you do have to go and buy from a scientific supplies place, because I can't really make one accurately enough in here. That, Poundland's finest. First thing I think I need to do is set these up so we're not wobbling about. I can actually do it by hand. I can set the laser going and shine it through there, but it will wobble about all over the place. Using these very intricately made optical bench equipment things here, which are forged from cardboard, we'll hold the laser steady. The idea behind this is very similar to what a certain Mr. Young did in 1801 when he did his first slit experiment by using two very fine slits and shining a monochromatic light through them, and that's what I'm going to do here. If I put that into my very expensive diffraction grating holder, we need to put a screen there. So if we shine the light from the laser through our double slit here, we should see the phenomenon of interference appearing on our screen. So let's have a go. How about that? What we're seeing here is that phenomenon of interference. You can see, if you look very closely, vertical dark and light stripes of light. And what's happening there is, as the light is passing through the two slits and is split into two separate sources, the wavefronts are interfering. And where the peaks are meeting up and reinforcing themselves, you see the light bands, and where the peaks and troughs are meeting up and cancelling one another out, you're seeing the dark bands there. So, interference. Marvellous little experiment. And we've seen, with some very simple equipment, how light behaves and how it interferes and creates that interesting pattern of dark and light stripes. Is there a practical application though? I remember being at school and being shown Young's experiment and thinking, that's great, but, you know, what good is it? You would be amazed at the things you can do with interference fringes. You can use it to measure just about anything you can think of. You can measure the surface shape of engineering components. You can measure the curvature of the panels of your car. You can measure surface roughness. You can measure flatness. You can even measure the shape of people. And that's where it starts to get interesting. How about if you could measure the surface of someone who is undergoing, say, radiotherapy, so you know you've got the dose in the right place? There are no end of applications for fringe analysis.